Month's Ultimate version 1.0 is out, and with the first ever driver swap race completed, I decided to talk about, is it worth it? Should you buy it? Is it good? And what kind of content can we expect in the future? Now, I'm gonna be talking about the pricing, about how it feels to drive, about the graphics, and what kind of content will come in the future, and also what has changed since the release of 1.0. Now, I have almost 300 hours in LMU since the LMGT3 cars came out, because I haven't really touched this sim before that. And I mainly played ACC before I became an LMU stan, so if I'm gonna be comparing the sim to any other game, it's gonna be ACC. So, let's go, pricing. LMU does not shy away from giving you ample opportunities for you to spend your hard-earned money. Of course, you have to buy the base game at the beginning, but straight away you're going to notice that you have multiple DLCs available, I think 5 at the time of recording this video, and a subscription on top of that. The subscription can range from 42 euros for the Pro and 70 euros for the Pro Plus, and that's yearly. During the early access, this turned a lot of people off because a lot of people thought that having to pay for the base game and the DLCs and having the subscription on top of that during the early access is a bit nuts, and I was one of them. I actually only bought it because of the YouTube channel and because I had to create content from those DLCs. But if I was a normal player, I would never do that. But the game is out. It's version 1.0. So this problem is a lot less noticeable because right now the pricing is what it is. Every single player needs to decide if it's worth it for them to pay for the base game and for the DLCs and for the subscription if they want it. Now, I've been asked many times on stream what the new players should do, and I always recommend buy the base game first. See if you enjoy it. Only then look at the DLCs and maybe the subscription, because if you have the base game, you can access basically all the daily races straight away with just the base content, because most of the time they don't require the DLC. Sometimes a weekly or a special event could require a DLC, but the dailies usually don't. And you will have a lot of cars to pick from. Hypercars, you will have 3 LMGT3s, you still have the LMP2, you have like 6 or 7 tracks. I'm gonna have it all listed on the screen right now so you can see exactly what you get from the base game, but only after you try it and you enjoy it, then look at buying the DLCs and the subscription, because if you buy everything straight away and you don't enjoy it, then you're just wasting your money. Interesting thing about the subscription though is it allows you to access the seasonal championship that the LMU creates, which is nice, but it also gives you a few more features. To me, the most important feature from the subscriptions is you could buy the Pro Plus subscription and it includes all the DLCs. So for example, if you're still unsure after playing a little bit of the base game if you should buy the DLCs, you can buy the Pro Plus subscription for a month and have access to all those DLCs, try them, and then either keep paying for the Pro Plus subscription or buy the DLCs separately and don't have to pay for the Pro Plus. I actually bought all the DLCs for the game, but I'm paying for the Pro subscription, the middle one, the one that doesn't have the DLC access, because it's cheaper and I already have the DLCs bought. I think in the long run, if you buy the DLCs as a standalone and then just buy the Pro subscription, the cheaper one, I think in the long run, if you're going to play LMU for a long time, I think this is a better option. So, as I said, the pricing model is what it is. Some people agree with it, some people don't agree with it. Some people used to play ACC where things are a lot cheaper, and some people used to play iRacing where things can get quite a bit more expensive. So it feels like LMU is in that middle ground, but again, it's up to every individual to decide if it's worth your time or not. But let's go into the driving, how it feels. Now, the driving physics in LMU are really solid. I come from ACC, and it's a breath of fresh air to have semi-working electronics like TC and ABS, because in ACC you can basically, if you're good enough, you can drive TC off and ABS like 1, and you can just slam the brake pedal and you will never lock up. If you try that in LMU, you're gonna just spin. So it's nice to have to play with your electronics a little bit. The contact physics when you're racing someone and the netcode itself is really strong. I think could be even better than ACC. With ACC you have a little bit of rubber banding. In LMU you still get that, but not as much. But the side-by-side racing on LMU is really strong, and the contact physics are much stronger than ACC, because in ACC you get a slight tap on the rear and your car just spins out. In LMU it's not that severe, you can still catch it, you move a little bit, sometimes your car only just slightly tilts, but still you can catch it. So I think the side-by-side racing and the contact and the rubbing during the races, during the side-by-side moments, is really strong in LMU. Force feedback is for the most part fine. It still needs a little bit of work. They keep improving it. A few months before we had that issue where the cars had very little feel mid-corner, like in the slow corners. For example, let's take bus stop at Spa. You brake for it, you turn in, and there was very little feel in the steering wheel because the force feedback just went numb in a low speed. They increased it from then. So it's getting better. There's still a little bit of work to do. It is different than ACC, for sure. So if you're gonna be jumping from that sim to LMU, you're gonna notice the difference. And if you're gonna go back from LMU to ACC, you're gonna notice the difference. Which is better is up to you. Some people really stand by LMU's force feedback and they say that this is how cars should feel in real life. For example, Jimmy Broadbent used to say that, and some people just don't necessarily like the force feedback. I'm kind of in the middle. I'm not quite sure if that's exactly how a real race car should feel, but I also don't think like it's completely broken. Some people still complain a lot about the force feedback despite all the fixes. I find that in this moment it's roughly it's in a good spot, but it could also depend on the hardware you're using. Like I'm using a direct drive Asetek Invicta 27 Nm wheelbase, and it's a big wheelbase that can give me a lot of feedback, a lot of detail. And maybe on some smaller wheelbases the force feedback could be a bit different, and maybe those people start to complain. But as I said, for the most part the force feedback is fine. The only complaint about the driving physics for me is some curbs have a little bit of a tramlining effect. So for example, if I try to brake into Le Combe at Spa, again let's say Spa, if I go and brake into Le Combe and I try to use the outside curb to the left, my wheel gets really heavy in the straight line and it's very difficult to turn it. That's the tramlining effect I'm talking about. And there's few other corners that have that effect as well, but for me that's the most glaring issue so far, because I don't think those corners should have that. Besides that, force feedback feels okay. After LMU released the version 1.0 and they added the AMG LMGT3, I was a bit afraid because I noticed some people are driving it with very low TC. I even drove it with 111 TC, and I heard people are driving it with TC off. Now LMU with the release of 1.0 added a little bit of rear grip, because in the previous patch right before the 1.0 release they changed the tire model, made it a little bit more sketchy, and they realized that it's a bit too sketchy right now, so they added a little bit of rear grip. And with the release of the AMG, a lot of, like, not a lot of people, but some people drove it with TC off. I just hope that we don't get the same TC off meta like we had in ACC, because I absolutely hate it. I loved and that in LMU we used, like, for example, TC6, TC5, TC whatever, like higher numbers, not TC2, TC1 or TC off. And in ACC it's a bit absurd that you can drive, for example, Aston Martin Vantage on Spa or whatever other track with TC off and get away with it. Even I saw people driving Lambos in the wet with TC off. Adam, for example, did that. That's just crazy, and I hope it doesn't come back to LMU. But I think it's just an AMG issue, because AMG has is overall very safe. It has very safe front end and very safe rear end. You can literally on low TC just slam the throttle and it will stick. So I think it's just an AMG issue. I hope so. Maybe they'll just have to change one car and we will have no issue. Right. Anyway, that's it for the driving. I think overall it's really solid, really strong. Force feedback is hit and miss, depending also on the car. The car between cars is slightly different as well. But yeah, let's go to the graphics now. Now, graphically, the game has, for me, two states. There's a driving state and there's a replay state, or a thumbnail making state, for example. I cannot run this game at full settings. The specs listed on Steam, for me, are way off. I have a 4070 Ti and I run an ultra-wide screen. I cannot go into ultra settings and high post-processing, which is what gives the game a fantastic look. I have to run, when racing, on low post-processing, which makes the game look a little bit cartoony. If you manage to run LMU on max settings, high post-processing, the game looks fantastic. On all conditions, I think the game looks fantastic, but it is extremely difficult to run this game on high post-processing, which is a big shame. I hope in the future they can do something to improve the performance with high post-processing on. If you're alone on the track, you can probably do it, but the moment you go into a multi-class race and there's like 30-40 cars on the grid, your PC will struggle most likely, unless you have a 4090 or 5090, sorry. Then probably you could do it, but me with my little 4070 Ti, which is not a bad card, I can't do it. I'm so high above the recommended specs, yet I can't run the game with high post-processing on. Which maybe that's how it should be, because maybe full ultra graphics, high post-processing, maybe that should require a bigger GPU, a better GPU. Also, the weird thing about the game, performance-wise, is sometimes you can get 30-40 FPS along the whole track, and you notice the stutters, and then suddenly, bam, you get 140 FPS while driving. It just changes. I don't know why it happens like this. But yeah, graphically, the game is hit or miss depending on your hardware. If you have a beast of a PC, the game can look fantastic. If you have not so good of a PC, the game can look a bit cartoony and just a bit like iRacing, I think. I don't want to bash iRacing here, but just a little bit like that. Right, anyway, let's go into changes. What has changed in LMU since the release of 1.0? Now, real quick, with the release of version 1.0, Le Mans Ultimate added Aston Martin Valkyrie and Mercedes AMG LMGT3 into the game. And the good thing about them is they're completely free. They are not paid DLCs. So if you get the base game, you get to enjoy them. So enjoy them. We also got a lot of minor tweaks to the game. No new tracks, sadly. They are coming in the future, but for now, we only got 2 cars and some minor tweaks for the release of 1.0. Now, as for future content that we can expect in Le Mans Ultimate, they've already teased European Le Mans series will be coming to Le Mans Ultimate. So we will be getting some ELMS content, which will include LMP2 unrestricted, apparently, a new LMP3 class, 3 new tracks, I think it's Silverstone, Paul Ricard and Barcelona. And also they teased a career mode for the game. So I think a lot of people like to play some simulator and racing games in single player as a career mode. So those people will be very happy to know that the career mode is coming. I think they teased that we will get something early 2026, if I remember correctly. So yeah, ELMS content and career mode is coming. Is Le Mans Ultimate worth your money? Now, sadly, I can't really answer it for you. You have to decide it for yourself. Now, for me, getting out of early access means all your features in the game are ready. So I'm not quite sure why Le Mans Ultimate decided to release version 1.0 before the first ever driver swap race happened and we've tested that feature. Because for me, the driver swap race is one of the most important features this sim will ever have, because it's basically a multi-class sim, for me at least. But it happened now. That's why I waited with the video. It's definitely not because I didn't have time or I was lazy to record it. I was just waiting for the driver swap to happen. So now we have it out. As I said, you just have to make up your own mind if it's worth it. I, for example, love the change of pace from ACC because we're getting new content regularly. We're having devs that listen to the feedback. We're having devs that have better communication than what we've had in ACC. And we have content already teased that we can look forward to. With ACC, it's always like, there's nothing on the horizon, and then 2 weeks before, we get a teaser. But before that, there's just nothing, no information. Now here, we already know that ELMS content is coming, new tracks are coming, new cars, new classes, the single player is coming, and God knows what after. So for me, it's just a nice change of pace. Is the sim perfect? Of course it's not. Does it have issues? Of course it has issues. I had multiple game crashes just now when doing the driver swap race, but I still like the driving, and I like that we get long races and it's multiclass. I just love multiclass races as well, and I love WEC. So I think if you are a WEC fan, this is the sim for you. iRacing has the hypercars, but they don't have the hybrid system working. But if you're a WEC fan, I think you will really enjoy that sim. But is it worth it? It's all up to you. I think for me, personally, I think it's worth it. Worth the DLCs, and I'm paying the subscription even. I'm racing the online championships, so I honestly think it's a sim that's on the up. And I know the studio behind that simulator has a history that also puts some people off, but I like to believe in what I see. And what I see now is a sim that gets regular updates, that has teased future content, that has decent communication. Even when issues arise, you just go on Discord and you most likely will get a response. And that's what I was missing in ACC. So for me, it's a good change, and for me, the game is worth it. Is it worth it for you? I hope it is, and I hope I see you on track. If you like that video, you know what to do. Leave a like, subscribe, and I see you on stream. Bye bye bye.